Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Mimosa Hotline. Today is Thursday, where we come to you live with hot topics, client things that are going on, worldly things that are going on, life things that are going on, and we share our insights and tips and tricks and advice and experience and expertise with you. And as always, we have Ronnie Bartless, your business strategist, and myself, Ashley Rhoda, your brand strategist. And welcome, everyone. Please, I see you live. I'm going to do my little thing where I check in on our comments, but I see someone watching us already. So
already?
Yes. Hello. But please remember, the comments are where we want you to engage with us. This is supposed to be an open dialogue. There will be opportunities for guest experts, you to hop on with us, to BYOB. But until then, if you're watching, please just join us in the comments and tag along with us. Also, live or on the replay. We love if, this time doesn't work for you and you are watching later and you hashtag replay and then fill in all of your questions as we go, then we'll reply back. So did I miss anything?
Not anything that's immediate. Just we're still working along on getting everything set up and, and thinking about those BYOBs and the guest experts and all of that stuff. We kind of have a structure for that, but that seems to be our deadline of starting that in April almost.
Yes. And I would like to say something I haven't told you about is astrologically, it's a great time for us to be doing that in April. I was working with Umwa Luna, shout out Umwa, and she was doing this 2023 astrological projection, and just heads up, it's great for us. So anyways.
Oh, good. Okay.
It's we knew. It's we knew this was going to be a thing.
Right.
All right. So, full transparency, we've got a heavy topic for you today, but a good topic. And I think we're both very excited to dive into this. And I don't know where to start. I feel like we should be how we started the year, a conversation, how it keeps coming up, our hesitancy to it, and then it is, but
so I'll just give some background. How about we start there? This was actually our topic for last week that we didn't do, but still had a really great conversation, which I'm going to plug last week's show because you should go back and watch it because it was really good.
It was really good.
There was a lot of great topics, but I think that you and I talk, every Sunday. We actually talk all week long, but very consistently every Sunday. I know, but very consistently every Sunday, and then every Thursday when we do this. And Sundays we tend to really dive into heavy kinds of things. And so I think you and I probably even started this conversation even in the fall. We've been talking about this for a while, of this concept of being soul tired, which for me, is beyond burnout. Everybody in business talks about how they burn out, and it is for sure true. And we do that in the hustle culture very easily, because this kind of all ties in with that hustle culture. That's hard to say. Hustle culture, mindset that you got to do everything and you should do. And you get burnt out because you're doing now, hashtag all the things. And that's a for real thing. But then even beyond that, you kind of get to this point where you're just even just soul tired. You get to the burnout and you're all right, well, I'm going to take some time off and kind of streamline things. And then you still feel the same way. And for me, and I'm just going to call myself out here and just be the sacrilegious lamb of thinking about this, is, at 45 years old, I'm it feels kind of like a midlife crisis almost. Is this it? Is this all there is? And I'm actually really curious to know your perspective on this, being at a different age than me. I think we probably have a different way of viewing it a little bit. And it pops up for me a lot in work, particularly in the past year, of really going, I love what I do. I love working with people. I'm really good at what I do, but how, is this it? I want to work, but I don't want to work this hard. And we've talked about that before a lot, about we just don't want to work this hard. And it's not that I'm afraid of hard work. That's not my point. The point is, how do I work smarter and not harder doing what I really love? And I think that's where it kind of comes down to that point in life of like, what's got to change? Do you want to change? What's going to change? Like, how does it change? What does it look like? Do you even know where you're going? And you kind of feel a little lost. Like,
absolutely. Yeah, that was the best explanation, first of all. So bravo. Yes, thank you.
oh, thanks.
So I think the elements that I want to speak to of everything that you just said, because it was so genius, but I think soul tired, again, to just from my perspective, and as we've been talking about it, the way I like integrate it is, it's that it's like past the push. Like you've been pushing, you've been trying, you've hired someone new, you hired a different coach, you tried a different strategy, you've been going. And shout out to our favorite Shauna, she's doing her 3-part series right now that is mind blowing. And I think she kind of would associate this with the control part, where like you're just controlling every bit, and you're frantic with it, and you're unfortunately in desperate or scarcity or stressed energy doing everything. And so you're trying to be motivated when you should be resting, but it's this like fight or flight response thing that you're doing. And then all of a sudden you hit a wall, and it's just like you crack and you like fall to your knees, you question life, you question God, you question everything that you've ever been taught. And you're like, fuck, like,
yeah.
It's happened to me twice, sacrificial lamb as well. Once about a couple years ago, I'd say 3 years ago or so, I was headed to the eWomen Network conference. Like my life was planned, like I had things going on. I was going to the eWomen Network conference. Nothing was working. I was just like, you know what? It's time to call time of death. Like this business is never going to work because I've tried it in every way I can possibly think. And like, fuck it, like just fuck it. And I remember I'm a bachelor, so I live very, I don't always have a full fridge except for, grocery day, things like that. Like it gets a little rough. And I remember, jokingly, but this isn't funny. All I had was like half a bottle of rosé and like a family size bowl of watermelon. And I was like, of course, like that's what I'm left with. Like I'm dying today, just like this existential crisis of like, blah. And I remember getting into the shower with my bottle of wine. Like I should have been clothed, I wasn't, but like I just got into the shower and ate my watermelon, drank the rosé, and like, on an empty stomach, which is just a great idea. And I was just like, you know what, like give me a fucking sign, because my business, and I think for you too, it's a calling. It's like my life purpose. This isn't just like, oh, I want to be a brander. Like, oh, that's fun. Let's go make some money and I can be a millionaire. Like, no, this is like deep. It's in my soul. It's like embedded into me. It is my identity. It's who I am. And so when I get into this, it's not just like business isn't working. It's like,
who am I?
Life isn't working.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like everything.
Who am I?
And it's like one little thing then triggers everything else. And it's this epic pileup, and you are just like weighted. Like I feel really heavy when it happens. It's just this, like, I can't even move. Like I'm fighting against like gravity or something.
Yeah.
And then again, let's be honest, it happened when I moved, there was a lot going on. So like, it makes sense, but also like, it sucks. And, it's funny because as Shauna was sharing, and I'm looking at it now, you kind of do this thing where you just release. You just are like, and I want to be very clear, because I feel like sometimes this might be construed as like almost like a suicidal moment, like you're done. And I don't mean that, but what I am about to say is like part of you is dying. There's an old version of you that's kind of outdated and a new version coming in. And it's this like in between limbo phase. Shout out Claire Jones for terming this, but liminal clarity, liminal meaning the space between and getting clarity in that time. And you want to just like burn it all down, not in like, I'm gonna jump and die and all the things. Like, yeah, you definitely think of it, but it's like, that's not really actually going to help this. And you kind of get this like freedom to wipe the slate clean, but also a degaff moment of like, I don't give a fuck about it. Like, fuck who this hurts, fuck who I am, fuck all this, fuck it. And then you get, I typically get real clear clarity of like, what is the most simple thing I can do. And the way that I'm like, well, their way didn't work for me. And I know what's right, because it's like, you kind of see what everybody else is doing, but you know, your version and what you would want to be doing. And you kind of flip heavy that way. So like, it's a pendulum, but I often find there's no swing. It's just like, like on the other side. And, you know, going to you was like, I've been in a year-long program. I've done everything. I'm doing all the things. Like, I've hired every coach possible. I don't know what's happening. Da 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 da. Meow 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 meow. And you were just like, okay, like we need to liposuction the shit out of this and
like strip it down,
simplify it, and just like, what do you know that works? Because I love what you said to me last time, that thank God it was done publicly, but you were like, you were selling, you were fine until you got into this. Like, we got to get you back. So often we think there's a problem with us, and there isn't. It's just programming at play, you know, shoulds, coulds, why aren't you doing this? You should do that. All the things at play. And it like almost puts a stent like between our head and our body, and our head and our identity. And it's a clusterfuck. And it's like depression, it's like burnout, it's like extreme exhaustion, and you're not taking care of yourself. You're not doing your normal routines that, when you do, actually help. Like weird little things like laying out your clothes the night before. But when you do it actually matters. Or like setting out tea for yourself, you know, these little things. I'm just gonna, can I have a quick little God wink? In my time zone, it's currently 11:11, which, you know, is my number.
It is. We must be on the right track on this topic today for sure. Yep.
So, yeah, but soul tired is,
it's, I mean, for me, it's beyond burnout.
It's like, all of those things. That
it's like, very paralyzing.
Yes.
I mean that, you know, as I was writing like notes for myself, it like paralyzing was something that I was like, you just feel so paralyzed, because there are so, you have all of these options of the things you can do, because you know that you have the skill set to do them and the knowledge to do all of that stuff. And then you're just so overwhelmed with
the decision fatigue.
Yeah. You're so overwhelmed with options of things you should do or could do or want to do, that, you know, you just get paralyzed with what the options all are. I think, you know, talking about your experience, for me, like, I don't know that I can pinpoint very specific times. I definitely had one specific time that was for sure a burnout moment, but probably on the verge of like this whole soul tired kind of moment as well. And it's obviously going to sound more dramatic than it really was, but I mean, my appendix ruptured 6 years ago, and I landed in the hospital for 14 days. And, you know, I felt awful. So, I mean, I'm not downplaying that, but at that point, you know, it ruptured on a Friday night. They couldn't figure out what was going on. And then we didn't figure it out until Monday afternoon. And then they finally went in and took it out. But by that time it had already ruptured, hence why I was there for so long. And that recovery was like 2 weeks in the hospital, and then solidly 2 weeks at home afterwards too, just because you're loaded down with all these medications. But I think that while I'm not going to say like stress of life and all of those things like caused that to happen, right? Like, maybe not, but it didn't make it easier. At least it was one of those things where you can go, okay, this is a moment in my life that made me learn something, right? Like, so in that process, like, you know, I go into the hospital on Friday evening, or into the emergency room on Friday evening, and by Monday, and like they admit me, and by Monday, I'm like, I have a full week of stuff scheduled. Like, I had like meetings on top of meetings and a to-do list that was 100 things long. And I had to cancel everything.
Yeah.
Like, life had to stop. Like, my parents came down from West Virginia, Alan. I wasn't even in my home, you know, at home. Like, I was at a client's office in North Carolina, and, you know, Alan came up and my parents had to come down, and like, it was a thing, and I had to cancel everything. I actually was scheduled in 2 weeks to go to a conference in Portland, Oregon.
Really?
And yeah.
Wow.
and randomly that I had already paid for. And, I landed in the hospital and I got there, they take my appendix out. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to be just a couple of days. Like, I'm going to be here a week. It was scheduled 2 weeks out. And like by week 2, I'm like, oh, I'm going to go home tomorrow. Every day I was like, I'm going home tomorrow. I'm going home tomorrow. And then I did it. I come come Thursday when I had to be in Portland on Friday. I was like, I don't think I'm getting there, am I? So, luckily they were great. I mean, they wouldn't refund my money or anything, but they did at least give me access online to everything that I needed, at least something. But I canceled life completely for 2 weeks. Yeah. And it was one of those moments where I was like, that specific month, I made the same amount of money and didn't do anything.
I was just going to say when I went to conference, so, me drunk in the shower with my watermelon, that lasted like, I think 48 hours. Cause my ticket was like 2 days out. I already had it planned. I was like, this will be my goodbye party. Goodbye world, like goodbye business. Goodbye. I'm just thinking of like, Hocus Pocus, which is like, goodbye, withering. And yeah, I actually booked the most clients I ever had. When I was there, I just had this really different energy to me. I was giving free advice to anybody, not like unsolicited, by the way, which we could talk about that later.
Right.
But, so, just free advice, take it. Cause this is going to be my end. Like, I'm never coming back to this, yada, yada, yada. And, then, I booked the most clients I ever had. I ended up having to come home and hire my competition just to help me get through the workload. Like it was nuts and it just hit. And so even though I was soul tired, I had no time to recharge. It was just hit the ground running and go again. But also to relate to this in a different way, because my business wasn't, mature at that time, but I actually felt like I gave myself cervical cancer when I was 25 because I was soul tired in a different way. At that time, I was still in the corporate world. I was working for insurance, Aflac, it was a different thing. And I did feel like I gave it to myself, like it was just that rude awakening. I needed to kind of stop and slow down. And same thing, I was at DSW and they called me and they were like, yeah, you're going to need to have this removed. And, it is precancerous and we want to get it before it's cancerous. If you don't do anything by the end of the month, it will be cancerous. It was like one of those things. And they were like, if we do it now, we can consider it preventative, but if you wait, it will be cancer. And I was like, and I was like, excuse me, I've got to go. Cause I was like, you just don't hear all the things at the right time. They call back, they're like, miss. And I'm like, oh, I thought you were just kidding. Like, I'm not just a number. I'm not like a quota. It's not like so many boob jobs in a month. And they're like, no. And I was like, oh, well, and then, having to figure that out and everything. And, it gets to us. I don't think your body,
Well, and I don't want to like give the impression that it's this big dramatic thing every time. Because
no, sometimes it's really, true.
I mean,
it's not like every time you're going to have a heart attack because of soul tired, but you will have a, fall to your knees, break down crying moment, I think.
I mean, like I feel in the past year that I have been very much in the soul tired realm of things. And it's for me, this time has been definitely gradual and not like a defining moment where I'm like, this is the thing that happened. And this is the thing that was dramatic and that kind of stuff. It was just this kind of like, okay, well, I'm to this point in my life. And is this it? Like, is this how it's going to be for the next 45 years? Is this it? And one of those kinds of things where for me, I even started this probably this time last year. Like I stripped my whole business down last year. And I mean, I still am this way. Like I offer 3 things. That's it. Those are the only 3 ways to work with me right now. And I feel for me in the past year, there is a calling for me that I haven't figured out what it is yet. And this particular time, for some reason, is taking a lot longer. And I don't know why. I don't know why, like what's going on, and it's been very far reaching into like every piece of my life. It's not just work, right? Like it's, it starts out with work probably, and then it like runs into,
because that's what is most top of mind and what we deal with the most. But hi viewers,
right.
please say hello in the comments. There's 3 of you now.
Ooh.
I think it's like scary. Like either we're getting better at being soul tired and recognizing it, and so there's not that big catastrophic event or something.
Yeah.
But also, lost the train of thought, hence soul tired.
That's all right. I mean, yeah.
Like that's what I was gonna say. Is I wonder if the prompts that I used last year might help you now. And it's like, okay, so you're questioning all of this and you're feeling this way, is like, is this it? And then, the 2 prompts of like, what in your life are you currently tolerating? Yeah, maybe at one point it served you, but no longer is. And like, really look at that. Like, God, I'm tolerating this and I'm tolerating that and I'm tolerating this. Like, yeah, when I got here, is this it? Makes me think that you have things you're tolerating that need to be replaced. And then that second question that really, warning label on this one, but are you living by default or design?
Right.
I wonder if, is this it is by default in like energy, like even when you say it, that's how I feel and receive it. It's like, oh, it's not chosen anymore. So now instead of like living it out, maybe you've played it out like for seasons and reasons. And now it's like, clear the deck and let space in.
Yeah. Well, and even to that point, it's kind of one of those things. And I think a lot of people probably go through this, like you're going along through life, right? Like you have to kind of like live every day and you like solve problems every day. And it's very gradual over time, but then so this happened to me like with my thyroid 2 years ago. Like I ended up going to a hormone doctor and doing a whole like blood panel, and they found that I have my thyroid's basically broke, like my whole body's trying to kill it. And so they put me on thyroid medicine and like a whole 9 yards. And I mean, like 3 days later, I was like, holy shit, I'm a different person. And it was that moment where I was like, I was to the point where at the time I was working a full-time job at the software company. I would get off on Friday night, at 5 or 6 o'clock. I would probably out of the next 48 hours, sleep 30 of them.
Oh yeah.
And I just kind of chalked it up to, I'm just a sleeper, right? Like because I love to sleep. Don't get me wrong. Like I love sleep, but I kind of it was so gradual over time. I didn't realize I was doing it, right? Yeah. Until like they put me on medication and I was like, holy shit, that is not normal. I thought it was because it was so gradual. And I think that's what this is for me too. It's so gradual over time that you get to the default level. And like, then once all of a sudden it like breaks free or like,
yeah,
I didn't realize it was that.
It's like, what is it? The frog in water. It doesn't know that it's boiling to death. It's slow and progressed. And then all of a sudden you're like, I don't know, afterlife, conscious perspective in your own life, and you're like, okay, we got to die and build this again. By the way, hello Violetta. Violetta is joining us. So hi
Violetta.
Sorry for that. So yeah, I think it is a gradual process, obviously, and actually, I mean, that's a blanket statement. Sometimes it's gradual. Sometimes it's abrupt. Totally. Sometimes it's a divorce that takes it to happen. Sometimes it's a catastrophic event. But I feel like, for those that have seen, my favorite movie of all time is Eat, Pray, Love, which I don't know if you've seen, but we're watching it when you come, if so, or whatever. But in the movie, she basically, her first marriage is that, it was fully chosen. She chose it. She chose the white picket fence. She chose the man. She chose all the things. She was active in all of it. But when she got into it, she just hates every part of it. And she's like, I don't know what to do. And the guy that she's with is just not the right person for her. And so she like goes into the bathroom. She gets on the floor and she's like, hello, God, I'm Liz, like introducing herself. And then she's like, I don't know what to do. And then she hears a voice, go back to bed, and then it triggers this like journey she takes to eat, to pray, and to love again. And like, for her, she had to travel, get away, and like redesign everything and come back. I kind of did it like while living in my own life. And I was just like, barricade, and you kind of have to like put yourself in a bubble, I guess.
Mhm.
I definitely will say, having lived through it, it's not easy to do.
Mm-mm.
And unfortunately, I do think a truth for anybody that is about to do this is that it's the things that you really wish weren't the things you had to change are going to be the things that you have to change. Like, they're not easy things, you know.
Yeah.
Not to share too much or give breath to an old life I had, but, you know, I had to divorce my family. I had to move out of state. I had to win a lawsuit. I had to, you know, get over being sick myself in different variations of, like, you know, whatever's going on. And all of that was not like, oh, like, let's just pick new silverware. Like,
Right.
it's gonna be like
Yeah.
core rooted sub chords. Like, anyone in the woo-woo world, you know, chording, things have chorded to you that you gotta like uproot. And like, I almost think of the Matrix, you know, with all those chords that go into him, like, you gotta unplug, and like, it's not fun. It's not
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah.
But
And I
on
think,
the other side is not.
to that point too, like, so, I do my solar return every year on my birthday. It's like a nice thing to kind of like see where the year had been and what might be coming up based on astrology and all that kind of good stuff, because I love that stuff. And every year when I work with Aleka on this, every year she was like, at the end of this year, you're not going to be the same person. And, and I think that we are like, we grow and evolve all the time, but you do have these seasons in life where you're a different person in very small ways. And then you have a season where you're a different person in very big ways. Like, you are a different person because of whatever is going on. And I think that we kind of, every year when she says that to me, like, some years I'm like, oh yeah, I am a different person than I was last year, in these small gradual ways. And then, like, I look at like this year might be the year that's a like big, difference of, some years are just different than others. And I mean, I'm not the same person I was yesterday. I mean, that's just kind of how it is. But I think there are big shifts in that in your life at certain times of your life.
I had a weird realization. So for those that don't know, water polo, what I played, my sport, it had 4 quarters to a game. There's like two quarters, then a half, and then 2 more quarters. Meaning like those were the main breaks. Like, obviously that's how a quarter breaks down. I know, but I'm trying to explain this. So when I was looking at my own life and everything that had happened, it was interesting. I'm currently 35. No, I'm not. I'm 34.
Not.
I'll be 35. Just kidding. I'm super excited about it. Apparently already ready to be it. But I'm currently, maybe I'm doing that for an easy mathematical break, but look at it. It's like the first quarter of my life to age 25, but unfortunately for me, it was to age 34. There was a strong theme of development and a strong theme of like, let's break Ashley into who she's supposed to be. Lovely. Not interested in repeating that phase, but it was like, for the first time, I kind of saw life as like a game. Like, and the reason I share this is because in water polo, like, you play your first quarter with your starters in, those are like your A team. They're the best because they set the tone of the game. Then you pull them out and you put in some of the other team members, maybe B team or not quite your best of the best in there, and you kind of run the game out for a bit, and then depending on how the game goes at quarter or at halftime, you're kind of, okay, are we ahead, are we behind, what can we do, who can we use, or is this an experience game where people are going to play to get experience, is this a tournament game where it's going to make our position change for the finals, you're strategic about it. And then that last quarter, man, it's 100% dependent on prior, right? Like, you're either losing, winning, what's happening. And so for me, I looked at it like, okay, if I were coaching right now, or because I coach water polo, I played it, but if I was coaching or I was playing, we're at the first water break, aka the first quarter. You take a water break at the quarters and then a full break at the half. And I'm like, okay, have I been hit? Do I need water? Am I bleeding? What's happening? And I know that sounds like really aggressive things to be like vetting, but that's what you think as a polo player.
Right.
Okay. And personally, I was like, oh, I've got a concussion. I am bleeding. I am not okay. Like, I need to be pulled out, subbed out, and taken out for this next quarter kind of thing. And so for me, it was just an interesting way to look at things and be like, okay, first quarter's done. Where are we at? How do we feel? Who needs water? Like, what do we need? Who needs a medic? And then now I'm like, okay, I almost ended that era. And then also losing our beloved pets, you know, you lost, don't tell me, wait for it. Lucy, shoot, I almost told her to take a check. You lost Lucy, I lost Max. And it was like an end of an era. I could really see like a boundary of like, you know, I wish it was easy math and like 25, but you know, for me, it was age 34. There's a divide. And I really intentionally left that version. Like I refer to it as like Portland Ashley. Yeah. Portland Ashley's dead. And some may see that as kind of like, oh my God, don't say that. Don't say that. First of all, shush, because you have no idea what you're talking about. But second of all, I needed that version of me, that life, everything there to
get to this
peace.
Yeah. But it taught you how to get to this. Yeah.
It taught me this, but there is a lot there that doesn't deserve air or a breath to be continued. Narratives, relationships, limiting beliefs, thoughts. Yeah. And of course, there's going to be a little bit of remnants as it comes over, obviously. Yeah. But I'm so blessed I got to make the move I did, because I have such visual reminder being in an entirely different city now with like entirely different people, culture, like people that would have been a trigger cannot just like walk across the street and see anymore, or like, you know, whatever. So I feel very blessed, and I wish that for others. But if you don't have that opportunity, you know, finding the way to make your move. What does your cross country move look like? What does your hard break look like? And then I think that's what reactivates. Hello, everyone. It's so fun seeing the little eyeballs change. Hi, let us know what you think, by the way. Sorry, we're on a rip over here, but like, I know, does this resonate? Have you ever been soul tired? Do you know the feeling that we're talking about? Are you currently soul tired? Are you like, girls, what the freak are you talking about? Anyways, let us know in the comments. Chat with us. Yeah. I guess then the next step, though, is just how do we revive our soul when it is time? You know, like what is the CPR for the soul?
Yeah. Well, and you know, to that point, you doing like, I mean, we talk about Shauna's program all the time because we're both in it and we think it's brilliant, but you know, she does in her Mind Over Matter program, the whole like inventory of things you desire, right? Like the things you want out of life. And you and I even talked about this, I think earlier this week, about core desired feelings. Danielle Laporte has her program for core desired feelings, and how you kind of structure your life and your day to feel a way, not necessarily meet a specific goal. Does that specific goal make you feel the way you want to feel? And so she talks a lot about like things you desire and things you want, things that spark joy, like that kind of stuff. You know, things that make you feel abundant or luxurious. And I have found in the last couple of years, like when you get to this point of soul tired, I'm like, I don't know what those things are. You know, like you're so far gone on it. I'm like, how do I get that spark back? Because you're so far gone and paralyzed that now you're like, I don't even know what I like anymore.
Yeah. So I've been watching Brene Brown's Atlas of the Heart. It's on Netflix, by the way. Am I saying that? No, I just lied to everyone. I'm sorry. It's on, what's the one you made me sign up for?
HBO?
HBO. It's on HBO.
Okay.
Now
I would have looked for
myself, but I'm pretty sure it's on HBO. I'm like ready to get over to the TV and be like, right? Sorry, long week, people. But the show notes will have the final answer. But I'm gonna go with my gut, because we trust our intuition now. It's on HBO. It's Brene Brown. It's a series, and it's called Atlas of the Heart, in alignment with the book that she wrote on it. And it was interesting. At one point, she's talking about when she was a waitress, and you know, there's different things that you can call out to say when you need support and when you're just burned. You know, so she said there's like, hey, you run into the kitchen and you're like, I'm in the weeds. When you say I'm in the weeds, that means like, it's on HBO. Yes. Thank you, Violetta. Back me up with that. Thank you. That's hilarious. Yes. Like when you run into the kitchen and you say I'm in the weeds, people will come and assist you. They know you've got it under control. You've just got a lot and you need extra hands and support. But when you run into the kitchen and you say I'm burned, you're done. You're toast. You need to, it's like, what's your login number? They log in as you and you leave. Like you're not even capable of saving anyone or helping anyway. And it's either, she said, you can go out, have a smoke, you can cry in the freezer, or you can like go take a walk or something, but you get minimum 15 minutes to do nothing. And I think this reminded me, perfect conversation to be bringing this in, but it's like, where are you? Are you in the weeds and you're burned out, overwhelmed and frustrated, or are you burnt and you're soul tired and you need to just stop and give yourself space? And I think that's where too, Shauna would come in and say, yeah, you need to say I'm burnt. You need to give yourself space, release it, open it up, let flow come back in, you know, whatever. But I'm a little different. I won't lie that like when I am soul tired, I do know what I need. I'm just not doing it or in denial and hesitant to do what I know I need to do.
Interesting, because I think I'm different in this way.
Yeah.
I think for me, when I get soul tired, it's almost this catch-22 of, okay, well, I still need to keep doing stuff because I can't stop. Right? Like I can't stop and just go, you know what, I'm going to restructure my whole business and not have income come in for a month. Right? Like, so then I get into that like cycle of this catch-22 of, okay, well, I still need to do everything I'm doing, but I know that I'm to this point, but I can't break the cycle of it.
Okay, but like, okay, let's not rupture another appendix and just say, but like, is that true? Like, unfortunately, I'm going to be evil and be like Shauna right now and like, okay, but you're making yourself right.
Right.
You're saying that you can't stop, but you can. I mean, you said, I mean, it was recorded, so unfortunately we have proof of this, but you said when you stopped for your appendix, you made the same amount of money and it was fine. Right. So it's like, okay, but what's stopping really? Like, I'm not saying for eternity and, you know, have a midlife crisis, go on a boat and like fuck around. I just mean like, could you take a week? Like I just did it. You know this, I was sick last week and I got spooked, but it was fine. I mean, okay, fine. So, you know, work 2 days and then restructure everything else and say like, hey, I'm having a soul tired breakthrough right now. And like, I've got to take a few days. Otherwise I'm continuing on the hamster wheel. Yeah. So it's like a shit friend to say that to you, but like, no.
Well, and I bring that up because I feel like there might be a lot of particularly women.
Totally. Oh my God.
Like
totally.
Particularly women, because we feel so much responsibility in to, you know, our family and our household and our jobs and our clients and our parents and, you know, like whoever it is all in our life. And I think women specifically feel this way of, I have so many responsibilities to everybody and everything, whether I owe them or not. I feel like I have those responsibilities, right? Yeah. And so you get into that like hamster wheel of, then you get into people pleasing of like, I have to keep going on all of these responsibilities. I can't stop. They're all depending on me. And that's a whole other mindfuck.
It is. And, and I know, like you know this about me too. So I have two like characteristics, mannerisms, whatever. Okay. So number one is my stability is change. That was a big deal when someone pointed that out to me. I you know, we all have a definition of stability, right? We think balance, we think, you know, whatever, you know what I mean? Stability. Yeah. We don't think that stability can be change or change can be stability. And I thrive in change energy, like moving the furniture around, like it just changes the room, or like you change your hair and it changes you. And like, I thrive in that. And I try and trigger it as many times as I can, because I know that's where potential lies. Now, I know that would throw someone else off of a building. Yeah. Like that's too much. So I know what I'm about to say, you know, is for the rare few, if not only me. But I do try and like poke and prod to like burst little bubbles of change energy and be like, oh, there it is. Right. I mean, my entire business is working in this realm. So like, I'll take my queen status of it. But at the same time, I also know I made a soul choice when I started saying, I choose me, because I was so wrapped up in people pleasing, so wrapped up in cultural standards and expectations and obligatory family obligations that were literally killing me, that it was one of these moments. It's like sink or swim. And I was getting pulled down by everything possible. And again, I don't know what it's going to take for people watching this, you, me, whatever. You don't know what it takes, but like, are you done yet? Like, how many times I got to the point of like, how many times actually do we need to throw our head into the wall, get a concussion, and come back and wonder what happened?
Right.
Definition of insanity.
I was going to say, it's on my computer screen right here. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results.
People. Like, and if you have to wake up and have that be your mantra, or tattoo it to your forehead, like, no judgment. I would do it in white ink though. Like, you know, but like, settling, I think, is what creates soul tired.
Yes, very much so.
I think
that's a very good point.
Settling, allowing in the wrong way, like just settling, like, this is it. This is my responsibility. That no, it's not. Yeah. That's a choice that you're making. And unfortunately, what were we talking about the other day, where we were like, actually, I don't think it's a characteristic. I think it's a choice. Do you remember that? Talking about something, and you were like, I think, and I was like, I disagreed. And then by the end, you were like, oh shit, I think you're right. You remember that?
It was a skill. We were talking about,
it was like, skill? Is it a skill or is it a choice? And I was like, I think it's a choice.
Shit, what were we talking about? I remember this conversation, but now I don't remember what we were talking about.
Was it not integrity? It was before.
No, wasn't that. That was a different conversation.
I can cheat.
I do remember having that conversation. Now I don't remember.
Like, what is this? Anyways, but the point is, well, let's make it out of this too. Is change a skill or a choice?
Or is not changing?
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of plugging here that I know the answer. Clearly it's choice, but that wasn't a fair debate. But I'm going to my my Ronnie notes.
Yeah, I mean, and in all of this, thinking about it, I mean, you were talking earlier about the quarter life soul tired. And I mean, I think that a lot of people would equate in general society would call this, at 25, they have this whole thing now. There's a lot of articles about the quarter life crisis. And, you're thinking you're 25, like,
like, but what are you really going through? But the same thing somebody at 50 is going through. It's the same inventory.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely, you have just a different life experience, but at 25 there, you got a lot going on. You have a lot of decisions to make for your life. And so there is like that quarter life kind of crisis, which is the same thing of like getting the soul tired. And then you get to the midlife crisis. And like when you say that in society, the first thing the image that pops into our head is a 50-year-old man that goes and buys a sports car, divorces his wife, and dates a young model half his age.
Yeah.
Right. Like, but I don't think that's what it is. And I think for women, it's very different.
And I think we also need to really address comparison.
Yeah.
Your midlife crisis can look like somebody else's midlife crisis. And I used to take pride in the amount of shit I was able to pack into the first 25 years of my life, but I'd like to release that. Like, but you know me, I'm an intense person. Like, I don't want just a God wink. I want like a God slap, like, Ashley, wake up, we're doing this. Like, I like intensity hence why I moved to Chicago. Yeah. I like intensity. And again, to each their own. You got to see in this, like, okay, Ashley's extreme, but what's my version, or what's my, point of this? And you're not trying to qualify for a race here. It's not like, well, what level of shit qualifies me for a soul tired? If you're fucking soul tired, you're fucking soul tired. Like, yeah, I think it's the owning it, like recognizing it and being like, oh, I'm there. Overwhelmed, like, I'm past burned out, I'm past decision fatigue, like, my soul hurts, like, wherever you identify with that. I think that's the thing, and I don't want to live another quarter where I'm prideful in being an overcomer, problem solver, achiever, no longer I'm done with that. Like, enough in the shadow world. Like, I'm ready to be high vibe and like, high vibe, receiving in success and not necessarily $1 million success that we just, it's almost at this point, what's annoying too. It's like peanut butter, jelly, success, $1 million. Like, I'm annoyed with that.
Right.
But I just mean like living, thriving, enjoying, loving being, not just fight and strive and this person's doing me wrong and that person, and always on guard. Like, damn.
Well, and not to say that like every day isn't full of like decisions to make, and not every day is like,
absolutely,
you know,
but,
candies
like,
and
where are you
roses and
filling
like,
it?
but you know, like those days should be fewer and further between. Like you should try and have joy in your life most days.
Yeah.
You know, like
And
that's
if
the
you
point.
don't, then that should be a pulse check. Like,
Right.
girl, you're dying. Like, do something. And I think the pulse check again is that, what are you settling for? You know,
Right.
my word was what, you know, default or design, settling.
Right.
Like, it seemed like that one kind of clicked. You finally did your ooh of
Yeah.
my ooh. But like,
Yeah.
I think that's it. And it's like, yeah, the choice. If you're not bred with choice DNA like I am, and change DNA like I am, it's gonna be rough. But like, what's worse? Staying in it and like, is this all there is? Or braving a change to see something different? Because God forbid you could always go back. I mean, welcome back to the cage in the hole. Like, it's gonna be there for you. But like, I think when you're at the like, is this it place, it's, you know, God, I hate saying this out loud because I used to want to just smack my dad when he'd say this, but he'd be like, you know, kid, you just need to shit or get off the pot. I'm like, really? Excuse me, I'm a lady. Like
you, I need that visual. Thanks.
Yeah, like, thank you so much, you fuck. Like, but he's right.
I mean, it's just an expression, but the concept of it is correct. Yeah. Well, and I don't think that we're the only, like, we're not the only people out there that have this feeling. I've had a lot of these conversations in the last year with people of, you know, and particularly at my age, which is why I was kind of curious on like how you viewed it, because we're 11 years.
I'm an anomaly too. I'm weird.
Yes. Yeah.
I own that. Like, I'm not a baseline to be compared to.
Yeah. No. Well, and I mean, 11 years is not a small age difference.
No.
To be honest, like, you know, and so
you'll be on the oldies station before me.
I already am. Like, that's the sad part. I already am. Like, I turned on something the other day. It was on the oldie station. It was like something from the 90s. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to kill whoever played this. But anyway, but yeah, I've had a lot of these conversations, men and women, over the past year. And I mean, I know that a lot of like business people and life coaches talk about burnout.
Yeah.
And we see that a lot, like on our Instagram feeds and all of that stuff. And they talk about burnout, but I just feel like what we're talking about here is kind of beyond that. Like, you're really kind of, I think when they're talking about burnout, they're talking about, oh, you've built this business that's overly complicated. Now we need to simplify it, right?
Yeah,
which
like, you're working 10-hour, 12-hour days instead of 8-hour days. That's
and you're
burnout.
tired, right? Like, that's burnout. But, you know, and I've been there before too. Like, this week kind of is that week for me. All of a sudden this week ended up being like super busy. And yeah,
like,
well, and and then last week I was like, I don't have anything to do. And it was one of those weeks where I was like, am I actually forgetting everything I need to do? Or do I really not have anything to do?
And that's the unfortunate thing, is like, it comes in waves that we really can't control. And that's why I still love Violetta for her flow schedule. And like, you gotta have a system for when it's coming at you and a system for when it's like slow.
Yeah. So like this week I look at it and go, okay, this week's just a burnout week because I'm tired of the to-do list.
But you get to schedule a random brain break. Remember, Violetta would say, okay, look into the calendar and see, like, when do things start slowing down, and schedule a whole day to recharge and brain break. So exciting. You get a brain break soon.
Yeah. I tend to do those on the weekend. So I try at least to. But this for me though,
like
is
a reward though of the phase of burnout though, for sure.
Yeah. Burnout is more of that, like, just daily, like, life happening of work and life and things like that. That's burnout to me. This soul tired is more deep in like figuring out who we are.
Yeah. Violetta shares the word burnout is used in inflationary. That's a great word. And very often simply wrong.
Yeah. I mean,
a mislabeled, wrongly used term. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And yeah. It's such a general term. I think people use it like, so generally.
Like, are you stressed? Are you in the weeds or are you burned?
Burnt. Right.
Like,
yeah.
Out. I think too, to kind of wrap this up for everybody, you know, one of the things that I do, and I think I want to bring in your rock journal because you hate journaling, and we're going to just talk about it for a little bitty second. So just mute me if you must. But, you know, things that I like to do are inventory, you know, just literally like sit down and brain dump what tabs are open in your mind, what issues are currently on the deck, like what's going on. Take an inventory, not to solve, not to do anything, but just to get perspective. When you're feeling so insane, like look at it, like clearly I should be insane. This is a fuck ton. Like what's going on here?
Right.
Second is what we call the abundance list, you know, our high vibe list, like whatever you want to call it. This is a list of things that, you know, when you do help you get at that next level or
Make you feel good.
Fill your soul tank, you know, your love tank, your soul tank, whatever. So these are things like just filling your tank of gas, knowing when it's full, you feel better driving the car, or clean sheets might be the thing. It's not like lavish trips. It's the little things, right? Make a list of those things. I know for me, I did it last night and it actually helped because I was up till like 11 o'clock and I should have been in bed earlier, but I laid out my clothes and then I ended up going to bed at about 1:30. I couldn't sleep, whatever, but it helped this morning when I'm losing sleep, but I need to still keep the same day. Laid out my clothes the night before, made my tea for the morning. So I just come and I pour the water. Like I just do those little things. So think about if before you get soul tired, or if you are soul tired, then yeah, you know, let's not rupture an appendix or be out for a week sick, but like, let's look at like, what are things, just stop. That's the first thing. Stop, don't do anything, because obviously you're not helping anyone or yourself. But two, like, what are those things that like fill your soul? Is it looking at art? Is it going out for coffee and a mimosa with a friend? Is it like, what do you need? What support do you need to get your soul back? And like identity, like, God, I used to love this. You know, I think this is going to be a big one for parents. Like, oh my God, before my children, I used to run, I used to do art, or I used to do that. Well, honey, the only thing you should be prioritizing is getting that put back into your schedule.
Right.
And it's going to feel awful. And shout out Debbie Pickus, because she called me out yesterday and I loved her for it. You know, my exercise routine that I'm not doing, where she's like, I want to give Nike a little bit of a zhuzh. And she's like, just fucking do it. I'm like, okay, cool. There's no excuse. There's no way out. There's no option of this. It's just time to fucking do it. So like people, whatever's on this list,
points, right?
You either get to settle, default, and stay in your funk, or you got to make a change. Like, I don't care what the normal schedule is, like, fuck it up, change it, delete something, ask somebody to push off for a week. Like, you've got to do this. Otherwise, you're going to crush your soul.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be like these huge things. Like, and I can definitely hear moms
what are some
right
of your
now.
Things?
I mean, a non-negotiable for me is dancing.
Yeah. I like that.
Right. Like, I mean,
walking, your walks
and walking. I'm a walker. Like walking is my form of meditation. Dancing is definitely my form of joy. Like, and that's a non-negotiable for me. Like, I've even gotten to the point lately where people are like, hey, let's go out Tuesday night. I'm like, okay, can we do it at like 7:30? Cause I'll be done with class by 6:30. But like those kinds of, that's definitely like on my list of things that bring me joy. You know, or make me, a lot of people, like you called it an abundance list, of, you know, a happy list, like whatever you call it. I call it my luxury list. Like, it's the things that make me feel luxurious. You know, like I put on my diamond bracelet today, like, because that makes me like feel luxurious, you know, because I love my rocks. But you know, so like some of those things. And so I think like I can hear moms right now, and you and I are not moms, so like, but I can for sure, I have a lot of friends that are, but I can hear them right now, but my kids need to do this, like my kids need to do that, and I got to take them here and I got to take them there. So guess what? While you're in the car, listen to the music you want to, not what they want to.
Yeah.
You know, like little things like that.
Fuck this, fuck that in the back. Amen. Like, you've got to.
Yeah. Cause I can like
child.
I mean, I can hear my friend Jen going, but I got to take the kids here because she's there to the point where she's basically their chauffeur. Like that's all she does is like shuffle them places. But I got to do all of these things because the kids are in everything. And I'm like,
well, then take them out of something like, or
you know?
find another way. Like there are carpools, there are lifts, there's like, and put them in a box and ship them to practice. Like, I mean, care.
Yeah. Well, or even when you're in the car, like you listen to the music you want to, not what they want to.
Yeah.
You know, like you're driving.
Or like, okay, so if you're able to get them to all of their practices, then you need to prioritize your class. Like, okay, kids, like dad has to do it, or somebody else has to do it, or they have to walk or figure it out or whatever, but like, or they can't. And you get a class every week, you know, if they have, you know, karate and swimming and this and that, well, then we also have your class on Tuesdays. Great, then get to it. But like, you're only a sacrificial lamb because you've given up everything.
Right. I mean, and we even do that. We don't have kids.
I know. And they're like,
you know,
and I'm like, I get it. They'd be like, but you would do it for your cats. And I'd be like, no, I wouldn't. They're going to wait. They're going to figure it out. Like they're going to eat each other. I don't care.
I mean, I'm not going to like not do the things that are my responsibilities, like feed the dog. Like I'm not going to not do those things, but
I mean, I'm struggling right now, but after she said, just fucking do it, I was like, fuck. So I'm doing it now. Like I will be doing my walking Mondays, my water Wednesdays, and my yoga on Saturdays at that class. I think I've been hesitant just because I'm still new and it's a new gym and it's like new kid. And like, what if I can't finish the class? She was like, then you lay down and you shavasana. And I was like, okay, sorry. Like, it was just kind of funny. I needed the kick in the ass, so I'm down for it. But
I've been trying to, so I'm glad she did it.
Like, thank God, because I'm tired of telling you this. But yeah, so like even next week, somebody wanted to get together on Wednesday. Guys, I'm going to be swimming. So if anyone needs to know this, I'm going to work Wednesday mornings, lunch, take a break, and then walk over to the gym because nobody else is going to be in the pool at like 2:00, and then come back and work more in the evening or something. But my makeup's off. I'm not going out for happy hour with you. I'm not cute. I'm a little water rat that wants to be home. But we have to put it in. We have to prioritize it. And I have not. I've been feeling like, well, my responsibilities pay the bills and all that. Well, your sanity also pays the bills. So get in the pool. Like, yeah.
And, you know, I always get aggravated when somebody is like, you can't help anybody else if you can't help yourself first. And I'm like, I hate it when people tell me that, but it's true. You know, like, I mean,
she was like, it's like putting your oxygen mask on first. I was like, God damn it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's more of like the cliche of the saying than the actual meaning of it. But I mean, it is true. Like you can't help others if you can't help yourself.
The way you said it, now I want a lychee martini. Could you just enunciate, please? You're like cliche instead of cliche. And I was like, no, I just want a lychee martini.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. It's been a long week.
It's my Southern accent.
No, it's great. It's just fun. I was like, look how dopey I am wanting a lychee martini. No, but I think you're spot on.
You don't know what's in this mug right now.
No, mine is straight up tea, but I do get to go to lunch today, like an off-site lunch. So I got a lift coming for me soon. Actually, that just scared me. No, we have time. Ooh, okay. So in the end, what are our thoughts? Because, oh my God, we did it. We're under an hour. Final questions, concerns, emotional outbursts for ourselves. Anyone watching? What did you think?
Yeah.
Was this like, oh my God, me too? Did you relate to it? Do you feel it? Do you think we're insane? Do you never want to talk to us? Like what's happening?
Well, and this is one of those times where this was not strictly a business conversation. No. By any means. Like, so I would like to know, like, how people feel about that when we have these kinds of conversations, as well as do you feel like how many people out there actually feel this way, or who is out there going, you girls are crazy, just do this, do it.
Yeah, you know, I think, and I hope, because I had this conversation with two ladies yesterday, and I'm going to leave names out, but it's the relatability of just shit. I'm not alone. You guys have this too. Like, oh my God, like how many, okay, you used to laugh about this all the time, but I'd call and I'd be like, I thought I was the only one.
I know.
Like,
and it was little things.
Yeah. Like for the first year, I think it was just, yeah, I do though. I feel, and maybe this is outing myself, I feel like alone, party of one, orphan, solo, last woman on an island all the time. Like, I'm an only child, so I don't have siblings to compare to. I no longer have a family. I'm in a new city. Like there is no one except you think the gods and a few other people that I can like call and be like, you too? Like, do you have a nose? Oh, you have a nose. Like, I mean, I'm that basic at this point. Like, Violetta says, you are definitely not alone. Good. Not good. That was a weird, like good, not good.
I mean, good that we're not alone, not good that people feel this way too.
Yeah. Like, and I send you love at the same time. Sorry.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's just, we need, and COVID, that was one thing I know.
Oh,
but it's
I
like
meant to mention that
COVID
too.
Really, I think
Made this.
Did a doozy on all of us. I think it amplified this and put a spotlight on this. Maybe we had it before, but now we can actually use that as like a reason for it if that was a big thing, but
it's a dividing line, right? Like it's a dividing line between like, because we do this in Charleston all the time when you buy a house. So like, is it a Hugo roof? So it's like, was the roof replaced once Hugo the hurricane came through, or like, was it before that? So it's kind of this dividing line of being able to like tell time with stuff. And I think COVID kind of has given us that
and
like dividing
isolated
line.
us. We can't talk, we can't relate, we can't, be with each other and all the things. And I think maybe that's the other thing is we talk about it all the time, find your business besties. And it doesn't matter whatever.
If it's us, like, even if it's us.
Please.
Please.
And seasons and reasons. Sometimes you have them, sometimes you don't. Sometimes they're new people, sometimes they're old people. Like, again, just that injection of change, and just have the balls and like, I don't know another word, but like just have the balls to change something. Like, hair, like I love this. You're always like, Ashley, hair grows back. What do you say? Like the other day you said this. You're like, they're not, and not just marketing, but you're like, there's really nothing that's like catastrophic. Like we can fix.
Oh, yeah. Say? I tell people all the time, there's no such thing as a marketing of urgency.
Yeah. And then you just like said it the other day, like in life, you're like, there's no such thing as like a full blown emergency. We'll figure it out. Like your hair grows back, like boys come like buses every 15 minutes, like pick another one, like whatever, like, yeah. So I think that's where we need to get. And I think it's unfortunate that it usually takes a few martinis or cocktails or mimosas to get there where you're just like, but we need to be like that in our sober mind, in our conscious mind. But a few mimosas doesn't.
It gives you
for the cause
liquid courage.
Yeah, sometimes. And I mean,
some of us need more of that than others.
Yeah, alter ego yourself. Find your Lola. See what she would do. Warning. But yeah, I feel whole. I feel good. How about you?
Yeah, no, I mean, this was our topic for last week that we didn't get to.
I wasn't ready. I was like, I don't want to out myself. I don't want to talk about this yet. I'm not ready. I'm not. And I was probably feeling it a little too, because I was just about to go in. Like the Thursday was the Thursday I got sick, and then I've been out the last week. So maybe that was.
I mean, even timing wise, like the conversation we had last week was great.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, it was actually really good because I went back and listened to it because I did the show notes, by the way. Like if you're reading the show notes and I'm like, oh, I felt this way. And I was like, that's because it was me. But which it's always really weird when we're doing the show notes. And I'm like, Ronnie said.
I know, it's like third person split yourself. And I'm like, I don't know how to say like.
I know, like I said something brilliant. But even this morning,
I said something. Somebody else writing this, like.
I said something brilliant. But even this morning when you brought it up, like I replied back like immediately. It's like, this is the day to do this. So like I have lots of thoughts on this today.
Yeah. So we'll say we hope you enjoy. We're sending our love to you. Just if you are in this, like we witness you, we see you, we feel you, we get you. Like we're not
in it with you.
Advise your damn self, because in truth, you know what you need to do. So just like,
Hey, and we're in the weeds with you.
Yeah. And we will support, like, tell us like where you're at. Like we'll support you on it. So like accountability.
And you don't have to do it publicly like we do.
No. I mean, like props to us, but, so Mimosa Hotline every Thursday, same time, same place. We're here. If there's topics that you want us to address, if there's business questions that you have, again, anonymously or not, we are coming out with a hotline for you to call in anonymously and tell us your tips and tricks and questions and things. But until then, like we're here for you. So engage with us. In the comments is where it's at. Leave us your notes. What do I say? Thoughts, feelings, concerns, emotional outbursts. Let us have it. We are here for it. If you misbehave, we'll block you. So, I think that's it.
Yeah. And stay tuned for all of our exciting updates over the next 2
Yeah,
months.
we got a lot going on, peoples.
Yep.
It's
We sure do.
exciting. So
Yeah.
be in the know, and we will see you next week. Bye, guys.
Bye.